Hello, this is Mike Despo with Career Services at Southwestern Community College, and I'm here to talk about a subject today that sort of dovetails with much that we provide. It's a supplement. It is not the primary way that we steer students into career decision making, yet it can still add value. I'm talking about personality type inventories, specifically things like the Myers-Briggs type inventory or the Jungian personality inventory that we do offer on our website, and that many users will be familiar with. It's just out there in the common culture. People talk about it a lot. I'm going to talk a little bit about, in just broad brushstrokes, how to use a personality inventory as a supplement to career decision making. First of all, let me just walk into a slideshow. I'm going to present my screen. I'm going to move into a presentation mode for a Myers-Briggs type inventory or a Jungian type inventory slideshow, to be specific. So here we have interest codes. How do we make decisions? How does Career Services at SCC help students do so? And I want to begin by just saying that our primary tool is Career Coach, which is based on this Holland typology, which is, it will identify a student's three dominant types of these. And that's a whole other conversation, and we've got some other presentations about that. But I encourage anybody wanting to investigate options, identify their interests, and explore corresponding careers to use our Career Coach assessment on our website right here. And that's based on this Holland typology. The Myers-Briggs type inventory, the Jungian type inventory, these other personality assessments. We're going to talk about that a little bit today, and you see a schematic here with EI, SN, TF, all of these different types, and I'm going to try to demystify that, J, P, and so on. So first of all, the first step in career exploration is using a Holland-based code, at least at SCC, to identify your dominant interests, and that is Career Coach, which will definitely help you connect dots between your interests, core interests, and maybe some different options. From there, we can explore using Career Coach pathways, and then even actual jobs and salary information and things like that. And so that's your deliberate main tool if you're a student at SCC or you're aspiring to be one. However, some folks will roll out the Myers-Briggs or the Young type inventory, and it's important. I think it has value to understand what they mean by that. First of all, I would not use the Myers-Briggs or any derivation of it, the Young that we provide, as the primary tool. It is supplementary information. It comes from the 1930s through a combination, a family effort between Isabel Myers and Catherine Briggs, and it has been viewed as pretty reliable and valid and used for different things, just not career decision making, but certainly organizational fit. It's a great team builder. I might come into an SCC class and use it, and sometimes we'll use it as supplementary information for a student in the career decision-making process. Supplementary. It is a guide to self-assessment and understanding, and some things about these words, these terms, they're not labels. They're just terms, terminology that has been defined in certain ways that I'll go into. It's not judgmental. One isn't better than another. One person's type isn't better than another person's type. They're just different. They usually don't change very much. So if you took it in high school and you're a young adult, it may be the same. It can drift a little bit as we sharpen skills and find ourselves in different contexts or environments. So there can be a little bit of drift from type to type, especially if you're sort of in the middle on one. So again, it identifies, just like the Career Coach assessment that identifies your combination of dominant interests. The Myers-Briggs or any other personality type inventory will identify your combination of preferences. Preferences is a really strong word, and it has a real meaning here. In this case, there's 16 different personality preferences. And again, I almost prefer people to use preferences than types. They're all good. There is some value to understanding your preferences and learning to appreciate differences. Okay, if we move into what they are, there are 16 combinations, but there are 4 dichotomies: extroversion versus introversion, sensory versus intuition, thinking versus feeling, judging versus perceiving. And we're all on some kind of continuum between the left side and the right side here, not to confuse with left brain, right brain type things, but extroversion versus introversion are dichotomous. You may be in the middle and have qualities of both, or you may be to one extreme or the other. Let's talk about what they are. Extroversion would be what you'd think extroverts. The word has connotative meaning. People who are extroverts, strong extroverts, are easily recognizable because they talk out loud, they think out loud, they are energized by group activities. They get really into that. They prefer fast pace, ongoing conversations, action, lots of friendship and engagement, communicating, and prefer talking to listening. Basically, they're energized by the external world around them. That's an E. An I, not worse, not better than an E's. They tend to be energized by an internal focus or an internal world. They think, process internally, might need to reflect or get away from a large group to really kind of get into their mind, and are more focused on one or two people and listening than talking and constantly engaging. Sensing versus intuition. That's the second type. Sensing, S or N. You see, they don't use an I because we've already used I. So we use the letter N for intuition. But sensors are really physical, external, concrete stuff. Learning by doing, realistic. It does correspond with realism in the Holland area, just as some other ones correspond. Very detail-oriented, that kind of thing. And then the opposite N tend to think about what can be, future, in visualizing things. They like theoretical stuff. They'd rather read about it in a book. Abstract thought comes natural. Learning that way, and figurative imagination versus watching and doing, and then innovation and getting bored with that repetitive, realistic type of thing that the sensors might enjoy. Thinking versus feeling is more how we might make decisions. Thinkers are analytical. They'll kind of weigh all the options. They'll be really super direct and straightforward because they try to be rational. They may overlook emotions and things like that as not being so grounded in reality, where feelers consider how a decision might affect other people. They might incorporate values in that decision making and not make it in more of a prescriptive or protocol based way. Can be more personal in their decision making, more drawn towards helping and taking conflict personally and not wanting to hurt feelings and things like that. So it can be more tactful. So you see their strengths. A thinker might be more truthful, even if the truth hurts. Feeler might be more tactful because of the impact. So there are values in both. Judging versus perceptions, one of my favorite in terms of how we actually conduct our lives. So judgers are not to think of judging others so much as structure. Strong J has got a protocol, a plan, a structure, a daily planner. Their sock drawer is organized. And they tend to get things done by planning, where a perceiver is going to be more kind of impulsive, enjoys flexibility, adapts really quickly to changing circumstances, but is maybe a little bit hampered by or can feel stifled by the planning that a J might do. And So you can see how those are two different corresponding work kind of functions. So how do they come into play? Every aspect of our lives, our personality impacts. Identifying our personality and knowing where our strengths are helps us maximize our strengths and maybe confront our weaknesses, weak areas. If I'm a strong P, I might recognize the need to be more structured to get things done and meet deadlines like a J. A strong J may need to practice and implement some flexibility when working with other people, like a P might be really good at. And so there's just some different ways to think about that. Implication of type might be not necessarily what career you choose. That's a little bit of a misconception. Really, there are different types who are very successful in all kinds of careers. Teaching is a good example. One might think that a strong teacher would be an E, extrovert, because they're constantly interacting with others. And that may be true. There may be a lot of extroverted teachers out there, but there are also strong, internally focused teachers who can turn it on and exercise J's skills during the day. They're just going to be a little bit more drained by that, but they're also going to be good listeners and processors. And so introverts can be strong teachers too. So don't make a career decision based on some kind of formula or prescription that somebody's given you based on your personality type. But do think about your type in terms of how you work with others, how you manage your time, how you compensate for your other preference, and that applies to the other things. A strong T might need to think about intentionally being more tactful if they realize that that's not their go-to preference, where a strong P might need to think about incorporating some more kind of structure or planning in their life than they might otherwise left to their own design to succeed in a workplace or on a team. And so you think about these things, and it can be really fun and useful for a small group of students or a cohort or a work team to understand each other's types so that they can recognize different strengths and put those strengths to play in the tasks that are before them, and also to maybe give a little bit of grace and at times when somebody's preferences sort of guide how they're acting, and not necessarily in a dysfunctional way, but in a different way than you might approach a situation. So knowledge of yourself, knowledge of others, this can be really useful in any kind of a team, and it can be useful to being successful in a workplace, and it ties to those soft skills that employers say they want. They want somebody who plays well with other people. Well, that means that the strong introvert needs to gain some extroverted skills and engage a little bit more with a team possibly, or that a strong J might need to practice some more flexibility and not be maybe as rigid as they might be otherwise inclined to be. And so there's a lot of soft skills. Communication skills are really key among them. How to communicate with others, understanding your type, your strengths, understanding how to compensate for to perform in areas that aren't your strength. This is really critical and really helpful. So life is balance. You need to develop an appreciation for other people's preferences. They bring strengths to the table that you might not have. And again, that is an appreciation that we can all practice. And then being comfortable outside of our preferences. You may be put in a situation that is not maybe in line with your preferred mode, and you need to learn to function well in that. You can see there's a lot of different models out there that sort of prescribe labels, which are imperfect at best, to types, but you can kind of see how you can go to this presentation, or you can Google it and come up with typical roles. An INFP might be a healer, introverted, intuitive, abstract thought, but feeling and kind of thinking about other people, that type of thing. Where you might look down here and see a ENFJ might be a strong teacher. You can see that they're extroverted. You don't have to be an extrovert. They're intuitive, and abstract thought theory behind things might be important to them. Feeling, so they're social on the Holland or the career coach mode probably, so they're kind of in a helping profession. And then teachers, gosh knows, do need to be organized. So if you're P, you can be a good teacher, but you need to learn some of those J skills. J's are going to be able to organize all of the things that teachers have to organize to be successful. So another thing, E's corresponds frequently to enterprising on the Holland code, where F's to social and so on. So there are some, certainly the S's to the realistic. So there are some connections that can be made there. There's lots and lots of references and citations that you can easily find on the Myers-Briggs, but this goes to Kiersey's and a couple of different ones that I found useful. So that is in a nutshell how Myers-Briggs can be useful to people. I want to take everybody to our website here under Career Counseling, Career Services website under Career Counseling and Exploration. You see a cyclical model. It could be a continuum, but we think of it in a circle, where you start here and move around this way in making a career decision. And on that process, on that continuum, the career coach is by far the most important tool that we offer, and that's understanding yourself. But then in that mix, we offer some other assessments like the derivation of the Myers-Briggs as well as a values inventory, which is sort of the next step in that process, narrowing your options based on what you value and so on, and then implementing it and following a pathway at SCC. And knowing how to do this as we do it over and over again in life, as we grow, learn, and adapt to new circumstances or take on new challenges. Here's what you see if you go to that next career assessment page. This explains the Holland-based career coach very thoroughly. Here's that 6 interest type model, also called the RIASEC model frequently. But down here, you'll find the values inventory. Here's a little snapshot of it. And this is a very important next step. And you might have tons of interests, but then you want to identify things that you value, like salary or geographic location or amount of education that might be needed and that type of thing. And then to really sharpen your spear and think about different soft skills, different types of teams you might fit on, what you bring to a team. The Young typology test or assessment here is where you'll go to take a free version of the Myers-Briggs. It's just a derivation of the Myers-Briggs. It's not the actual Myers-Briggs, and that will yield results that you are welcome to come and talk with a career counselor about. And to do that, simply go here to the Contact Us, and you can reach Jody Waldrop, our career counselor, or myself. We can meet with you online, share screens, use the telephone and the computer, and any other way we can help. We can help interpret these results so that you can make the most sense of them, and you're equipped with more data and more information about yourself so that you can make the best decisions possible. So that is how one might use the personality type inventory of any kind to supplement the interest inventory that we offer with Career Coach in the process of exploring and making decisions about careers and getting on a pathway at SCC. Thank you very much.